Have you ever felt like you're not quite living the life you were meant to? Maybe you've achieved success in certain areas, but something's still missing. What if I told you that your past is holding you back from your future? The version of yourself that you've been living with, the one shaped by past experiences and fears, is keeping you stuck. But what if I told you there's a way to break free? The journey to transformation starts with letting go of the old you, the self that's been living in survival mode. Today, I'm going to show you how to identify what's stopping you, break those chains, and step into the life you were always meant to live. Ready to unlock your true potential? Let's dive in. There's a part of you that's been with you through every high and low, a constant force you may not even be fully aware of. It's your old self, the version of you that has held on to past patterns and limitations. While you strive for a new reality and greater personal growth, it often feels as though something keeps pulling you back. This pull isn't coincidence or bad luck. It's a powerful force created over time, through repetitive habits and emotional patterns. It knows your every move, every weakness, and it fights to keep you exactly where you are. Recognizing this force is the first step in freeing yourself from its grip. You may wonder why this old version of you persists, especially when you're trying to change. The truth is, this old self isn't inherently bad. It's simply the product of years of conditioning, shaped by the environment, past experiences, and the beliefs you once held. It might have been necessary for survival at one point, but now it no longer serves you. It keeps you stuck in a loop of familiar patterns, making it harder to break free and embrace the new you. Understanding this dynamic is key. It's not you versus a faceless force. It's about recognizing that this part of you is only trying to maintain what it knows. Imagine you're playing a game of chess. Your old self is like the opponent, always anticipating your next move and reacting accordingly. It doesn't think ahead. It just reacts based on your established emotional triggers and patterns. But what if you could play smarter? What if you could stop reacting and start thinking strategically? The game changes when you realize that you hold the power to control your moves. You no longer have to play by the rules set by the old version of yourself. You can outsmart it by understanding how it operates and dismantling its grip over your decisions. The first step in shifting out of this old self is to recognize it for what it is, not just habits or fleeting thoughts, but a constant presence that influences your actions. This old self thrives on familiarity and routine, making it resistant to change. It doesn't hate you or wish you harm, but it's designed to maintain the status quo. By becoming aware of it, you can begin to shift the balance. It's like shining a light in a dark room. Once you see what's lurking in the shadows, it no longer has the same power to control you. In this process of transformation, it's essential to detach emotionally from your old self's influence. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that your old self defines you. But the truth is, it's just one chapter of your story. You don't need to fight against it or despise it. Instead, you can choose to see it for what it is, a part of you that is simply out of sync with your evolving self. This recognition is the first step in breaking free and stepping into your true potential. The old self isn't just a passive observer in your life. It's an active force that has shaped who you are today. This version of you is created through years of conditioning, and it has a mind of its own, one that operates on autopilot. Every time you react emotionally or fall into familiar patterns of behavior, the old self gains strength. It thrives in the shadows, feeding on your routine, emotional triggers, and the comfort of the known. By understanding its nature, you can begin to disarm its power over your life and take back control. At its core, the old self operates based on the energy and emotions it's been given. This isn't something that happens overnight. It's a gradual process. Over time, you've unknowingly created a set of automatic responses to stress, failure, or success. The more you reinforce these patterns, the more entrenched they become. This is why breaking free from your old self can feel so challenging. It's not just about changing habits. It's about reprogramming deeply ingrained behaviors and beliefs that have shaped your reality for years. Think of the old self as a reflection of your past conditioning. It's not inherently evil or malicious, but it has no concept of growth or change. It's stuck in survival mode, trying to protect you from the discomfort of the unknown. For example, when you face a challenge, your old self might try to keep you stuck in fear or self-doubt. It does this because it doesn't know how to navigate new situations. It only knows the familiar. To outsmart this version of yourself, you need to recognize when these outdated patterns are kicking in and take proactive steps to change them. One powerful way to understand the old self is to examine the stories it tells you. These stories are filled with limiting beliefs, fears, and doubts. They shape your identity and influence your decisions, often without you realizing it. Take a moment to reflect on the narratives you've created about who you are. Are they based on who you truly want to be? Or are they just old scripts you've been following for years? The key to transformation is recognizing that these stories are not set in stone. They can be rewritten at any time. The more aware you become of the old self's influence, the less power it has over you. You no longer have to be a prisoner to your past conditioning. By shining a light on the ways the old self operates, you start to see the patterns clearly. And once you can see them, you can choose to act differently. This is where your journey of true empowerment begins. Understanding the old self is not about erasing it, but about creating space for something new, something more aligned with the person you're becoming. Your emotions are the fuel that powers the old self. They give life to the habits and patterns that hold you back, creating a cycle of reactivity and stagnation. Every time you feel frustration, fear, or self-doubt, the old self grows stronger. These emotions are not random. They are carefully timed triggers that keep you trapped in the past. The more you react to these emotional triggers, the more they reinforce the grip of the old self. To break free, you must understand the emotional patterns that bind you and learn to respond differently. For example, when you encounter a challenge or setback, how do you typically react? If you feel frustrated or overwhelmed, you might fall into old habits like procrastination or self-criticism. These emotions are the old self's way of keeping you in your comfort zone, where nothing changes. But if you can recognize these emotional triggers for what they are, simply projections of a frequency that no longer serves you, that are detached from them, this emotional detachment is key to regaining control over your life. The truth is, these emotions aren't really yours. They are projections of the old self's fears and insecurities. When you feel fear about the future, for instance, it's not necessarily because something bad is going to happen. It's the old self's attempt to keep you in a state of inaction. The fear of the unknown is powerful, but it's not real. Once you realize this, you can start to reframe your emotional responses. Instead of giving in to fear or doubt, you can choose to embrace the discomfort as a sign of growth and change. This shift from reactivity to emotional resilience is essential for your transformation. It requires discipline and awareness, especially in high-pressure situations. When you feel triggered, instead of reacting emotionally, take a moment to pause and recenter yourself. Ask yourself, is this reaction based on the person I am today? Or is it coming from the old version of me? By cultivating emotional awareness and resilience, you can start to break the cycle of reactivity and create new emotional responses that serve your growth. As you build emotional resilience, you begin to see emotions for what they are: temporary signals that don't define your reality. Every time you resist the urge to react impulsively, you weaken the influence of the old self. This new emotional awareness shifts your perspective and allows you to make conscious choices that align with your goals. You are no longer a victim of your emotions, but a master of them. And this newfound emotional intelligence will propel you toward the transformation you seek. Reactivity is the old self's secret weapon. It thrives on impulsive reactions, turning everyday challenges into emotional battlegrounds. Most people live on autopilot, reacting instantly to situations without thinking through their responses. This is where the old self feels most at home when you're caught in the whirlwind of emotions and circumstances. But what if you could break this cycle? What if you could pause, breathe, and respond thoughtfully instead of reacting emotionally? This shift in mindset is the key to breaking free from the old self's control. When you shift from reactivity to proactivity, you change the dynamic of your life. Instead of being at the mercy of your emotions, you take back control. For example, imagine a situation where you're faced with criticism at work. The old self would react defensively, perhaps getting angry or upset. But by practicing restraint and taking a moment to process the situation, you can choose a more mindful response, whether it's listening, asking questions, or finding a solution. This simple act of shifting from reactive to proactive gives you the power to navigate life with intention. Proactivity also means taking responsibility for your emotional state. Instead of blaming external circumstances for how you feel, you begin to recognize that your emotions are your choice. When you choose to be proactive, you create space between stimulus and response. This allows you to act in a way that aligns with your values and goals. The old self wants you to react in ways that keep you stuck, but by choosing your response, you break the chains it has on you. Cultivating emotional discipline is an ongoing practice, and it's not always easy. In moments of intense emotion, it's tempting to revert back to old habits, but this is where the true transformation happens. Every time you consciously choose a proactive response, you reinforce your new way of thinking. Over time, these small choices compound, shifting your entire emotional landscape. Eventually, the old self's power begins to fade, and you step into a more empowered version of yourself, capable of navigating any challenge with clarity. As you continue to break free from reactivity, you'll notice that your life begins to feel more intentional. You no longer feel like a passenger in your own journey, reacting to whatever life throws your way. Instead, you become the driver, steering yourself towards the future you desire. This shift in mindset is not just about controlling your reactions, it's about reclaiming your power and mastery over your own life. You are no longer bound by the limitations of the old self. Fear and doubt are the old self's most powerful tools. They are the emotions that hold you back from reaching your true potential, often appearing when you're on the verge of stepping into something greater. The truth is, fear isn't something to be afraid of, it's a signal that you're on the right path. When you feel fear or doubt creeping in, it's often because you're challenging the comfort zone that the old self has created. These emotions are not signs of failure. They are invitations to grow and evolve. Fear can be paralyzing, especially when it's tied to a major life decision. But what if you saw fear differently? Instead of viewing it as something to avoid, consider it as a clue. Fear often arises when we are about to break through to a new level of empowerment. It's your old self's way of protecting you from what it doesn't understand, what's unknown. The key is to confront these fears directly, without letting them control you. When you face your fear, you diminish its power. Doubt is another powerful emotion that the old self uses to keep you in place. It whispers in your ear, asking, "What if this doesn't work out? What if you fail?" But just like fear, doubt is an illusion. It's the old self's tactic to make you question your abilities and your worth. To deal with doubt, you must start by building self-awareness and confidence. Trust in the progress you've made so far, and remind yourself that growth doesn't come without a little discomfort. One effective way to overcome fear and doubt is to take action despite them. When you make decisions based on your goals and values, not on the fear of failure, you build momentum. Even the smallest action, like making a phone call or taking a step toward a new project, reduces the power of doubt and fear. This consistent action reinforces your belief in yourself, turning fear into a motivator rather than a hindrance. The more you act, the more you realize that fear and doubt are simply obstacles to be overcome. As you continue to face fear and doubt head-on, you'll find that they begin to lose their grip on you. Each time you move forward, despite your fears, you're building resilience. Over time, you'll notice that fear no longer has the same hold over you. You'll start making decisions based on your new self, not the outdated patterns of the past. This shift in perspective is crucial for your personal transformation. Embrace fear and doubt as stepping stones, not barriers, and you'll continue to unlock the next levels of your potential. As you continue on your journey of self-transformation, you will inevitably come to a point where you realize that building your new reality requires more than just shedding old beliefs. It requires consistent action toward creating something entirely new, something that aligns with your authentic self. The key here is to focus on small, deliberate actions that compound over time. Just like planting seeds and nurturing them, your actions today will shape the life you desire tomorrow. With each step, you break free from the limitations that once held you back, and you begin constructing a future that truly reflects who you are. Building a new reality means letting go of the old self and embracing a new version of yourself, one that is aligned with your deepest desires and values. It's about creating the space to choose what you truly want, without the influence of old fears or doubts. This process can feel overwhelming at times, but it's important to remember that you don't need to change everything at once. Small changes, when applied consistently, will create the momentum needed to shift your reality in a powerful way. Begin by making one conscious choice each day that brings you closer to your desired future. For instance, if you're trying to build a new career or start a new project, it's easy to get overwhelmed by the scope of the change. Instead of focusing on the enormity of the task, break it down into manageable steps. Focus on one small action at a time, perhaps researching a new field, reaching out to a mentor, or learning a new skill. These small actions, when practiced consistently, create a ripple effect that will transform your reality over time. By making intentional decisions, you begin to step into a life that feels more aligned with your purpose. Building a new reality also means shifting your mindset from scarcity to abundance. The old self often operates from a place of fear and limitation, believing that there isn't enough, whether it's time, resources, or opportunities. But to create a new reality, you must change how you view the world. Start by practicing gratitude, focusing on what you have rather than what you lack. By recognizing the abundance around you, you start to attract more of it into your life. This shift in mindset allows you to see opportunities where you once saw obstacles. The process of building your new reality is deeply personal and transformative. It's about trusting yourself and the process, even when things feel uncertain. As you make each decision, no matter how small, you begin to see the pieces of your new life coming together. Over time, these actions build momentum, creating a future that reflects your highest potential. The key is staying committed to the process, even when you don't see immediate results. The reality you are building is one that will feel more authentic, fulfilling, and aligned with your true self. Transformation is a journey that requires embracing uncertainty, especially when you're stepping into the unknown. The old self thrives on the familiar, constantly pulling you back to what's comfortable and safe. But true growth happens outside of your comfort zone. It's in the unknown where new opportunities arise, and where your most powerful transformation takes place. When you step into the unknown, you're not just letting go of the past, you're opening yourself up to a future filled with endless possibilities. The fear of the unknown is natural, and it's often what keeps people stuck in their old patterns. But what if you could reframe that fear? Instead of seeing the unknown as something to avoid, start to see it as a space full of potential. Think about all the things you've accomplished that once seemed impossible. Every major achievement required stepping into the unknown, taking risks, and trusting the process. You didn't know exactly what would happen, but you took that first step anyway. Embracing the unknown doesn't mean jumping into something reckless or unprepared. It means trusting yourself enough to take small, calculated steps in a new direction. It's about gradually expanding your comfort zone, allowing yourself to evolve with each step you take. Whether it's pursuing a new career, moving to a new city, or simply trying something new, the key is to start. The more you allow yourself to step into the unknown, the more natural it becomes, and the more you begin to see it as an opportunity for growth rather than something to fear. The unknown is where you discover your true potential. It's where you find out who you really are, what you're capable of, and what you truly want from life. When you're in your comfort zone, you only see a fraction of your potential. But when you challenge yourself to step beyond what's familiar, you unlock parts of yourself that were hidden. You gain clarity about your goals, your desires, and your true path. It's in the unknown where you begin to align with your true self, shedding the layers of doubt and fear that once held you back. As you embrace the unknown, you'll realize that it's not as terrifying as it seems. It's the unknown that holds the keys to your personal transformation. Every time you take a step forward, no matter how small, you move closer to the person you're meant to be. The unknown is not something to fear, but something to embrace with excitement and curiosity. It's your opportunity to create a future that is not defined by your past, but by your most authentic self. Step boldly into it. You've got this. The final step in your journey of self-transformation is embracing the power you have within. You've already learned how to recognize and overcome the influence of the old self, how to build a new reality, and how to navigate the unknown. But now, it's time to step fully into your empowerment. True transformation comes when you realize that you are the creator of your reality. Every thought, every choice, and every action aligns with the person you are becoming. This is where your journey shifts from survival to thriving. Empowerment is not just about gaining strength in the face of adversity, it's about realizing that you are already whole. Every experience, every mistake, every lesson along the way has contributed to who you are today. You no longer need to seek validation or approval from others because you've learned to trust in your own judgment. The power to create the life you want has always been inside you. Now it's about taking action with confidence and clarity. At this point, you may begin to notice that your actions are no longer reactive, but intentional. You've moved from a place of self-doubt to a place of self-mastery. Every decision you make reflects your core values and your true desires. You no longer feel like you're living someone else's life or adhering to societal expectations. Instead, you're creating a life that's deeply aligned with who you are at your core. This shift is powerful and liberating. This transformation doesn't happen overnight. It's a process that takes time, patience, and consistency. However, each step forward, no matter how small, is a victory. It builds momentum, strengthens your inner strength, and creates a reality where your goals and dreams begin to manifest. The journey isn't about perfection. It's about the courage to keep moving forward, even when faced with challenges. As you continue to evolve, you'll notice that the old self no longer holds power over you. Instead, you will be living in alignment with your highest potential. Now that you've reached this level of empowerment, the next step is to maintain and grow. Keep reinforcing the new habits, thoughts, and actions that have led to your transformation. It's not about a single breakthrough moment. It's about continuous, deliberate steps toward a fulfilling life. With each new decision, you strengthen your connection to your authentic self, and with it, your ability to create a future that's not limited by the past. The transformation is complete when you realize that this journey is yours to continue, and you can embrace it with confidence. Congratulations! You've just taken the first step toward breaking free from the limitations of your old self and stepping into a life that reflects who you really are. But this isn't the end, it's only the beginning. Transformation is an ongoing process that requires constant action, self-awareness, and commitment. So, what's your next move? I challenge you to take one small step today, right after watching this video. Whether it's choosing to let go of an old habit, facing a fear, or simply taking a moment to reflect, that small action will set the foundation for your transformation. If you're ready to continue this journey, hit subscribe, Leave a comment below and let me know what's the one change you're committing to today. Let's grow together.